Listen, y'all. Listen. Welcome back to my channel. Marietta here. Y'all come in close. Come in close. We got a conversation that we need to talk about. Y'all know we've been on these lines and we've been talking pretty much. A lot of people have been talking about families coming together and moving family in together, and families need to work together and start building together, right? Well, in the midst of these conversations that we're having, let's break it down a little bit. Do you really believe that grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers, and fathers should pay rent when they move in with aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, or whoever they move in with? Do you really believe that anybody should be exempt from paying their way? Type it down in the comments, because I was having a conversation with different people, and a lot of times we think that just because we older, we shouldn't have to pay anything, or we older, or because we took care of you when you was younger, now you owe us something in the midst of what's happening today. A lot of reasons why families cannot come together is because of this crazy notion that they have in their head that if they move in your house, now they'll pay where they are if they stay there. But if they move in with you, they feel like it's a free ride for some reason. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it for the life of me. Why they feel this way, or why they feel like they can use you in that fashion, to the point where, you're like as if to say, I'll pay somebody else, but I'm not going to pay you nothing. Now, it's one thing if they don't need your help as far as paying, or they don't want your help. Even then, you still should offer. But even if you don't pay anything, um, shouldn't you be saving money so that you would be able to eventually go on your own? Or if they want you to stay there, you should be saving money so that you could at least support yourself, take care of yourself, and maybe you can help at some point, because you don't know if that person may get sick or something may happen and you're there and now you have to pick up the tab. I just don't get this understanding of why it is that family feel as though that they can move in with other family members and think that just because you're family, that becomes a free ride. To me, it doesn't matter if you're mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, nephew. The need has to be met. And if you're moving into somebody's house and they're willing to allow you to come in out of this storm, out of this recession, out of this inflation, and you don't have enough money to rent a place of your own, or you're trying to make sure that you have enough money to be able to even just survive, I would think you would be grateful. And whatever it is that y'all discuss as far as payment arrangements, I don't think they should have to beg you for it. I don't think they should have to run you down to get it. I don't think they should have to look at you walk through their house and with an attitude because you don't want to unloose the money that you know you owe them, or the money that you're supposed to pay for your share of the rent for that month. Now, if y'all gonna try to uh, uh, blend families together, there's conversations that have to be had. And it's a shame that you're going to have to write up a contract for your own family. It's a shame that you're going to have to give them a 30-day notice to get out when they don't want to pay. And it's a shame that you got to sit there and go through hell in your own house after you've asked them, after you've prepared a place for them, and try to make life a lot easier for somebody else to live. Now, a lot of people are saying that in this season, the best way to make it through what we're going through right now is for people to come together. Tell us how. Type in the comments and tell me how you think they should come together if everybody's not planning to pull their own weight. Individual people that live by themselves, they have already gotten their bills set to a place, or they run around cutting lights off just like anybody else. They struggle just like anybody else. They're counting their pennies just like anybody else. So when you move somebody into your home, everybody knows that costs the price of things to go up. That means you're spending more money for lights. You're spending more money for just basic wear and tear necessities in the house, toilet paper, washing clothes. You're spending a lot of extra money for soap. You're spending a lot of extra money for just everything it takes to run a house. You got to wash blankets, you got to wash sheets, your laundry becomes crazy. You end up with a whole lot of towels. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you what I know, because I've been through this already. When you got more than just you in a house, it takes a lot for you to be able to run the house. You're using more electric, using more water. It takes a lot. You're eating more. The refrigerator's open in and out. I mean, it's just a lot more responsibility, and it runs your bills up to the point where even if it did not run them up 1 inch, the fact that that person gave you a bedroom, gave you a place to lay your head, where is the uh, uh, the gratitude. Why aren't you grateful? Why aren't you grateful that somebody bring you out the storm in this season of what we're going through right now? People are actually looking for somewhere to go. They would be glad to have that same bedroom. They would be glad to pay their portion of the rent. I mean, you got to understand, nobody can keep you for free. Nobody wants to take on a grown person and start keeping you for free and start running their bills up when now they got to pay the cost for you to be there. I just feel as though that these conversations need to be had before you start moving people into your home, even family, because sometimes family will ruin you, family will destroy you, your church will upset you, but your family will finish you off. They will truly finish you off. Why? Because it's an overwhelming sense of entitlement that they will walk through your house with. Have you ever had anyone in your house that is family and you allow them to stay in your house and then they treat you like you don't belong there? They just start treating you like you don't belong there. This is the kind of conversation that I'm hearing from several people that are living this and going through this. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you got to do this, but yet you got that heart that you want to let people in. You want to let people come and stay with you. You want to give people a room. You want to give them that space. And you want to help people come out of the cold, but you don't want to get messed over in the process. So a lot of people say, I don't want my peace to be ruined, but they want to help people. Your peace, God knows, should not be ruined. If anything, they should come into the home ready, willing, and able to try to help build that house and try to help make sure that everything runs smoothly, and grateful that you even considered giving them that chance or giving them that spot or giving them that room. Because I know so many people that have empty bedrooms right now that are afraid to rent them bedrooms out because of the fact that they are afraid to be messed over or being afraid of putting people in there, and you got to go through hell to get them out. Sometimes it costs more to get them out than it does for you to allow them to stay. Sometimes it's better to help them get a room or help them get a place, or just, think about the situation to say, I'm not going to give up my peace. Anything that's going to cost me my peace is too expensive. It's too expensive. If it's going to cost me my peace, then it's costing entirely too much. And then you got to wonder, why is it that some of them, why isn't they don't have a place of their own? Why did they not prepare for their retirement? Why did they not prepare for their old age or a place to lay their head? People go through a lot of things. I understand that. They go through a lot of things. But then you find a lot of people too that, they think of partying first. They want to live their life to the fullest until it's too late. They don't think about, getting somewhere and sit down somewhere and start saving their money and begin to figure out how they're going to make it, in these last and evil days. But they think about the fact that, oh, such and such, she keeps her money, I'll borrow her money, or she got a place for me to live, I'll just go knock on the door and lay over there, or I know they're kind-hearted, they'll let me in, and they just keep depending on family to be there. And sometimes family's just not there, y'all, because I seen some of y'all in my comments when I did the video about the seniors. Y'all said that, somebody said that the seniors should be able to rely on their children. And that could be true. That should be true. That in a real world, that's the way it should be. They should be able to rely on their children as they get older. But a lot of different cultures teach their children, and they work with their children, and they stay with their children, they support their children, and the parents do live with the children as they get older. And that some of the children don't never leave home. They take care of their parents from the time they're younger. They work and they take care of their parents, and then when their parents are older, they still already there. But in this American culture that we got here, we were never raised like that. We were never raised like that. We were never taught that. Our parents taught us to be self-sufficient, independent, but they never taught us to look after them. They always was ones that said they would look after themselves. They would take care of themselves. They never put us in a position where we could actually do that, but we did work and we helped take care of the house. We did pay bills. It was 11 of us, and we paid bills as we got older, and we all of us worked, so we all had our own money. They taught us to have our own money. They taught us to provide for ourselves, but they didn't teach us that we had to take care of them. So a lot of times this behavior is taught. The word teaches us to train a child the way they should go, and when they're grown, they won't depart from it. So you got to teach them in the word how to be able to look after their parents. But then a lot of times the people read that scripture, but they don't go no further. They don't go down the line to the part that says, and parents, don't cause your children to wrath, because some children do not raise their parents. Do not help with their parents when they get older, because the parents have mistreated them. The parents have drug them down to a point where they beat them down. They treat them like dirt. They talked about them. They did everything in the world to these kids that may not have been um, may not been in a place where the kids even want to be around them. Sometimes kids go through things too, and sometimes the parents are disrespectful, but they don't read that part. Even all my years of going to church, I would hear them read that part, and they would stop. They would always say, but they never say. They would always say, train the child the way it should go, and when it's grown, it won't depart from it. And they would always say, honor thy mother, thy father, that your days may be long. And that, I'm just paraphrasing it. That's the way they would say it in the word, but they would never say the part of parents don't cause your children to wrath, because that's in your Bible too. It's in there too, but that's the part they would leave out because of the fact that they would look at it like, I'm grown, I'm the parent, you do as I say, not as I do. And a lot of times some of the things what goes on in this house stays in this house, and some things that went on in them houses should have never happened and should have never stayed in them houses. And this is why the kids don't want to take care of the parents, but yet and still we got to understand that if you want your children to be there for you and you be there for them, sometimes you just got to let them grow up and let them take their own falls too as well. And you got to be able to separate yourself from their life and allow them to be able to grow so that they would want to take care of you when you get older. Because now we're living in a time now, what we're going through now is like saying this is the time that the families do need to come together, but yet and still, even in the middle of a recession, a lot of families cannot come together. A lot of them cannot come together. And then you look at the fact that a lot of people may have their own homes, they have their own jobs, they have their own things going on. So it's like saying life is really gonna have to really start life and worse than this in order for, I believe, for the families to be able to come together and be able to live and be able to survive under the same roof. Because just because of the fact that y'all got to share the same blood sometimes don't make you family. Don't make you to a point where you want to spend your life or be able to live under the same roof, because there's a level of respect that you have to have for one another, and some people like to cross that line of respect. So I was thinking to myself, just sitting here thinking about that, what is going to happen in the midst of what we're going through today, and how the families are going to be connected, and how we're going to be able to come together and be able to work together. And do you believe that the family should be able to come together? Because I really believe if people were thinking of the same way you go and rent a place and pay your bills there and begin to operate and take care of that person's home, is the same way you should do your family's home when they offer you a place to stay. If and so you're lucky enough to get somebody to let you in right now while it's cold outside and while you're in the midst of this recession, and you know that you're going to really have a hard time living on your own and you don't have enough money and eventually you're going to see yourself depleted, it's better you try to be able to help somebody else and start having that conversation and realize that it's better that you go and pay half or whatever it is with somebody else and not try to do this alone. Not try to do it alone. If you can't do it alone, just don't try to do it alone. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, even with me, I can't get out there and plant a garden all by myself, but I know how to put some seeds in some flower pots. But far as to go out there and tackle that hard earth, the hard ground with a tiller and all of that, no, I'm too old for that. I'm not going to do none of that. I'm not going to do none of that, because that would actually hurt me and break my body down. So if I use a flower pot, I can plant. I can use tubs, and I told y'all there are so many things you can put a flower in. Heck, you can put a flower in your bathtub. You can put some, not a flower, but you can put a plant in your bathtub and open the window, and it'll grow. All it needs is seed. All seed needs is some dirt. All you gotta do is throw some dirt on it. And see, that's where the family come in at. That's where it would be good to have a family on the homestead. See, I have a homestead right here. But I also have a disabled child, and I stay in the house a lot because I'm taking care of him. But and so, I've said it over and over again, and so some decent people wanted to plant a garden. I got some ground and you got some seed. But see, people want to come and eat. They want to eat the harvest, but they don't want to be part of planting the harvest. They don't want to do the work of putting the harvest together. But if I was to get out there, and if I did have the energy and I was still young enough to get out there and plant a whole garden and the time to do a whole garden, you better believe people wouldn't have no problem with coming to get some corn, coming to get some cucumbers, coming to get some tomatoes, coming to get some strawberries. They would come and get that because it's already been done. The work has already been done. They don't want to do the work. That's the hard part about getting people to come together and to be able to build together, is they don't want to do the work. People don't want to do the work. They want things free. They want things microwave. This is a microwave generation, and it's sickening. It's so sickening. I don't know how they're going to make it. I don't know how the younger generation is going to make it through this. I really do not. They're so worried about how the older generation is going to make it. I really believe that the boomers are going to be all right because they know how to plant. They know how to harvest. They know how to get them chickens. They know how to get them wood stoves. I see them online. I see y'all doing y'all thing. And I really do love to watch the chickens run around the yard and things of that nature. But see, that's not something that I could do on my own by myself. See, there's a lot of things that you cannot do by yourself. There is some, and to prepare for what's coming, the not knowing is the hard part. But being unprepared for it is the stupid part. You got to be prepared for it no matter what. No matter what it is, you still need to prepare yourself. You need to get ready. And like I said, the land, having land is a big, I got half the battle already won. I got half the battle already won because I ain't got to plant in a big scale. I can plant in a smaller scale, just enough to suffice me and my son if that's what I have to do. But and like I said before, you can't plant everything. But that's where family comes in. And if you invite family into your house, you'd have some extra hands. Extra hands would be able to help do a plant. But see, that's the problem. They would not want to do it. They would not want to do it. Because then when I start talking about it, people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line, people are watching me on these lines from back home, and they probably say she done lost her mind. She is just as crazy as a bedbug talking about planting a garden, planting stuff outside. When Walmart got corn, Walmart got cucumbers, they would say this stuff. That mean, it's like saying I really believe that I'm the only one in my circle that even thinks that, we need to prepare, that's even really truly prepping for things. My kids, I'm sure they're prepping because they understand the way times is. They see it. They not blind to much or nothing. They catch on just like I catch on. But I have some friends that have told me, say, what is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of buying a whole bunch of food? That don't make no sense. See, because they don't see it. There's some people walking around with blinders on. They really do not see what is happening in the world today. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there about the family, and because it really was a conversation that I was having, and I wanted to see exactly what y'all feel about moving family into your house. What do you feel about family paying bills? Do you think family should come in paying bills? Do you think because they're older, grandmama, mama, uncle, daddy, do you think they should pay bills? Do you think the younger generation should respect the fact that they are older and not charge them for coming in? So what do you think about the families coming together, and how should the bills be distributed? That's what we need to talk about, because you know what? So many people that are family feel as though they'll pay somebody else, but they won't want to pay you. They will not pay you. I don't know what that's all about, but I've seen this myself. I've seen it myself, that family will try to move it on you, won't pay you a dime. Had no problem with paying where they were before you, but they just don't want to pay you. But you are the person they have to live with, and you're where they want to be. But for some reason, they feel as though that you, because you family, they shouldn't have to pay you. So y'all type in the comments. Let's have a conversation about that, because as we come together and as the families begin able to emerge together, I think it needs to be said, because some people don't understand that just because I'm related to you don't mean I'm supposed to take care of you. You still have a bill to pay. You still have to carry your own weight. You still have to fend for yourself. You still have to be self-sufficient. There are some things that you still have to do. You don't move into somebody's house and act like you got a maid, act like you're a stranger in the house, act like somebody's supposed to pick up behind you, and yet you just come and go when you get ready, and you don't try to help with none of the maintenance of the house, the cleaning of the house, the food of the house. You don't want to help with anything but just walking it out because you family. No, I think it's later for that. I think that type of person with me would be outdoors, and I think they would need to stay out there until they learn something, or until they got themselves together. So y'all type in the comments. That's my take on that. I love y'all, and I'm getting ready to retire for the night, but I just had to throw that out there. Y'all be blessed.